Yes, buckle your seatbelt.
Hello all, welcome back to another Roundtable Reviews. As always, Captain Trek and Vance Major from No Budget Productions is with me, and today we're going to review TOS Charlie X. And it's quite the little episode. Thinking man's game, I guess, right? So, as usual, I'm going to go around the table quickly, and we'll just get our initial vibe of the show, and then we'll kind of go step by step kind of through the episode and give our thoughts, likes, dislikes, etc., and then we'll end it off with the final grades. So we'll start off with Vance.
I liked it a lot. Again, with most classic TOS episodes, especially in season one, it had that Twilight Zone-esque vibe, which I find really appealing. So I liked it a lot.
All right, and Cap.
I don't know, the Charlie character, just creepy, kind of, just, I don't know how else to put it. Kind of reminds me of a initial impression of or creation for Wesley Crusher. Kind of annoying and just plain creepy. But,
well, for me, the episode itself, I didn't quite care for it that much. It was, I mean, it had its okay moments, but it never really had a good moment. And all I kept thinking in the back of my mind, as we'll go on, and I'll touch on this because Cap brought it up, is Charlie, the young adolescent that they run across. To me, comes off as Q without the sense of humor. And it was just like Q without any of Q's redeeming functions. It's just, dang it.
See, I feel that he's very much like the in the vibe of Gary Mitchell, and I feel like that if this is a story that was told in like modern Trek, they would have probably linked it to Gary Mitchell. Like if Where No Man Has Gone Before had been a modern Trek story, and then they told Charlie X, they would have possibly linked those aliens with the like Outer Rim environment somehow. Because I feel like those two things were very close in how they just felt story wise. So I feel like instead of Q, I feel like it was more Gary Mitchell. But I definitely do see how that could be very Q Continuum esque. So
yeah, but the only difference is there's no the Charlie character in this episode. Yes, he's portraying a 17-year-old, but at the same time, a 17-year-old with the mind of a 5-year-old is my explanation, because he doesn't know how to behave in around people for the most part. So he's 17 in age, but 5 in thought.
right.
And I found almost the part was really overacted to some degree, and it just fell flat for me. I'm probably going to get flack from a lot of people, but that's okay. I don't know. There's just something about it that just kind of, I mean, all the cliches were there, I guess would be the way to put it.
Well, for me, the story, like, you can sit there and kind of take the story like so literal that it does kind of fall a little flat. But to me, like, I think it's very symbolic for like how like kids look up to their parents and then they feel like they outgrow their parents, and then like kind of throw fits when they can't get their way. And so to me, I look at it from that kind of outlook. And like there's just a lot of, especially back in the 60s when they go against the establishment and all this stuff, and like like what's right, what's wrong, and all this. And I look at Charlie and I'm like, that's very much like that kind of mindset of like what when you're young and when you have like all these, like you don't know like what's right, wrong, you haven't seen the world, you don't have all this experience, then you have the experienced Captain Kirk looking at him going, hey, you can't, there is no right way to hit a woman. Like
Yeah.
you can't do that, so it's to me it's that mindset of like, yes, he is 5 and that's completely appropriate for that character. Like I do enjoy that. I think that's very cool. And it's something that you don't necessarily, you couldn't necessarily do today, not properly, it's unique, it's unique.
Yeah, but I guess before, so we can get kind of, we'll touch more on it as we go through the episode because it's basically up on Charlie. But I guess my biggest problem with it was too much on the one side of the scale. I would have liked it more if we got to see him because he's got a 5-year-old mentality and he never wants to play throughout the entire thing. He shows no other characteristics of a 5-year-old except for, I'm going to throw a temper tantrum and I want what I want. That's it.
But isn't that kind of a 5-year-old that he doesn't really know what he wants?
Yes and no, but they still laugh, they joke, they have, that the awkward moments, the awkward timing. With him, it was just angry the entire time. Like there wasn't a yin and a yang, there was just a yin to the character, and that's where it was kind of
Well, I can understand. No, I can understand that perspective. I bought it for someone who hadn't been around humans all that much. Like I bought it, especially to me it wasn't that far of a stretch. What do you think, Captain Trek? Like we've been hogging up the spotlight here. What do you think?
The air here.
See, I just don't. I don't know. It's really hard to put into words. I just didn't like the character. I mean, yeah, I would think he would want to be more playful, even if it's not play per se, but something a little more. Because, I mean, when he walks into a room, he's smiling, so there's something that. But it's like the writers didn't fully think out the character. It's like they got it on part of it, but the whole thing just didn't work out. It's just I didn't believe it.
But see, let me ask you this: is it the fact that they didn't get it, or is the fact that, I mean, even at the end of the show, he's saying these beings don't even know how to touch, like they don't, like. To me, I bought it because he didn't, he so drastically didn't want to go back to these, non-corporeal beings. They don't know love. They don't know, they don't touch. To me, I did buy it because they are completely alien. Yes, he's smiling, but does he understand happiness? Does he truly understand these things? Like I think you guys are looking at it from our perspective because we've been through that. He hasn't. He's looking, he's been through it from, these are beings that don't touch, they don't love, they don't have our experiences. So he doesn't have, our understanding of things. So he is going to want, he is going to be angry, he is going to show only certain things because he only understands certain things. So, I mean, is it possible that? I mean, I don't know. I maybe this is that agree to disagree moment.
Yeah,
Honestly,
exactly.
it is because I mean, honestly, it's made for people, and this is representing a non-humanoid base. We have no, you know, it's like okay, maybe there is something that we're missing that somebody thought of, but it's I don't know if it can be expressed fully. So
Mhm.
I'll just leave it there.
So basically, the episode starts out. There's a transport ship, a cargo ship that Charlie beams over from,
Mhm.
and of course, Kirk is in his best greens, which I believe is the dress uniform, correct, for TOS?
No, that was I think that was a version of the captain's wrap because there were two versions of the captain's wrap. The greens are the formal ones that have the collar, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I'm not that familiar with
Yeah,
it.
see, I'm not 100% on the TOS uniforms.
Because
But
later on in the episode, he was wearing those same ones, and then when he gets on the turbo lift, but then when he gets off the turbo lift, he's in the mustard yellow when he gets on the bridge.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'd be wearing his formals in that scenario. So I think it's a version of the captain's wrap, except for instead of having the rank on the sleeve, I think he had the rank on the shoulders.
yeah,
because I don't think they use that one all too often.
yeah, it just, to me, it was just like, okay. The reason I went with, okay, it's got to be the formal dresses because he's somebody's come to his ship, he's meeting them. That's kind of where my thought process went with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not your everyday garb, you're looking your best for company kind of thing.
Right.
So they arrive and they seem very much in a hurry to get the hell out of Dodge and part from Charlie. And so they leave, and Kirk can kind of tell at the beginning something just ain't quite right, but he can't put his finger on it. Is kind of the look he has when they're leaving the transporter room. And then, of course, the infamous moment, is this a girl? Yes, that's a girl. That dialogue was interesting, but at the same time, it fit because he's never seen a female. And he knows what a male looks like because he is one. So him not doing that with Kirk makes sense.
See, that's the one part that kind of took me out, where he doesn't know what a female is, because it's like I find it hard to believe that on the other ship there were no females, because it's like I for all I enjoyed it, it's like, really, there's no women on the other ship at all, like even being a rescue ship, no women at all.
Yeah,
really.
There were only 20 crew on board, and so
yeah.
But
they could all be grease monkeys.
all dudes. Like, I mean, even Ripley was a woman, and that was in the movie Alien. Like, really, no women. So to me, I find it peculiar that his first sighting of a woman is Rand. I mean, to me, it's like if this would have been just a shuttlecraft of two people. Hey, we got to get him off. That just two people, and we don't have the range you do, so here you go. That would have better explained, his first sighting of a woman. But of another starship, really, this is your first experience? Like, to me, I kind of found a little bit like, huh, that's strange. So
yeah, well, I think that's also a product of the times too.
Yeah,
because that was a very, like, you're dealing with, well, this is a cargo ship, so this is going to be, men only, work ship, not a Starfleet ship kind of thing. So I think that just kind of product of the times. Nowadays, I think if they shot this, then yeah, you'd be 100% correct. that, well, what do you mean there's no female on that? There's no engineer, nothing, doctor, anything. So I think it's, in that aspect, I think it's more of a product of the time than anything else. So that really didn't surprise me per se. Just because you're going into it thinking back to that time, and you're going, yeah, okay, I can kind of see that, because it's a specialty ship, so they're gonna have a specialty crew. It'd be like an old sailing vessel, right? Like from the British times, like back in the sailing days, where you find somebody, a little teenage boy on an island. They're probably not going to know what a girl looks like till they hit the first shore, the first harbor. So in a sense, I can kind of, okay, yeah, I get it. Okay, that makes sense to me. And his reaction to her is okay, and but then his infatuation with her is even more, I guess, first woman he sees, that's the one he falls in love with, is kind of all right. And even when he's confronted with somebody more his age, he still looks up to the first woman he ever saw. That's the one he fell in love with. Kind of was like, really? All right, cool.
Well, that was the part that was creepy to me. Like,
yeah,
everything else was kind of like, okay, I get this. Like, you had Charlie that was kind of crushing on Rand, and Rand is the one that's crushing on Kirk, and Kirk is supposed to be the father figure. So it's like, it's fine if you turn your brain off, but when you start thinking about that, you're like, this is all kinds of creepy, So, it's like, dang it.
What do you think, Cap?
Definitely creepy.
Yeah.
It's like, you look at him like, first of all, he doesn't look like or act like he's 17. He goes from acting like a 5-year-old to like, to being a, sexual offender type thing.
Well,
like,
and to me, that was part of my problem, because he's, for the most part, like you said earlier, he's showing basically 5-year-old aspirations, and like, I want something, or I throw a temper tantrum. So for him to automatically have romantic feeling, like, you're 5 to about 12, well, maybe not 12, but 10, girls, cooties, he doesn't even, he skips all that and goes straight to, mad crush, and it's just like, okay, so you can be 5 in this aspect, but in this aspect, because we need you to be a creepy stalker guy of Rand, you're just going to jump all that and go straight to, I would have liked it more if he would have wanted to be around Kirk more.
I would have liked it
if his fascination was with Kirk.
I would have liked it more if, because as soon as he turned that one chick into a lizard, in the next scene he goes and gives Rand a flower, and I'm like, where the hell did he get the flower from? Like, I would have thought it would have been cool if he would have given Rand the lizard. Like, yeah. That's the only thing that would have made that whole thing redeemable. Like, okay, it's not creepy. He gave her a lizard. Like, that's something a 5-year-old would do. It's like, hey, here's my lizard. Like, that's not a euphemism.
Exactly.
I mean, there's the whole thing was just. I agree with you. I think the male model, Kirk being the role model, I really dug that part of it. I mean, the episode doesn't, it isn't without its flaws. It has glaring, obvious, creepy flaws. But I mean, back in the 60s, they were all, hey, we're all about love and whatever. And sadly, they interjected that part into the script. I think that was the one part that I don't think really worked. to me, I would have rather. I think if I were to change the one thing about it, I would have had him like Kirk more, for the father figure, and then had him get rid of Spock, because Spock is the one person he would have got jealous of. Like, no, that's my father figure, man. Get out of here, because you're his best friend. You get out of here. To me, that would have worked a lot better than, have him creep on Rand and then get rid of Rand for no reason. Like, to me, it's just that part didn't work.
Yeah, and so that's why the whole 5-year-old thing didn't work for me, because it's like, well, wait a second, you're wanting me to buy that he has a 5-year-old mentality when it comes to every other emotion except for raging teenage hormones, right? So he has raging teenage hormones, but the temperament of a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
and then nothing in between. That was my biggest problem with this character all the way through. And like, I think the other moment I'll bring up is the singing moment in, I guess, what we'd call in TNG era 10 forward, or mess hall, I think it is in TOS, but in 10 forward.
Mess hall, yeah.
Yeah. So that felt out of place a little bit, just because it was just kind of there. And yeah, it was just kind of like, okay, does this happen often?
I feel like this was the one point where if I were to ever see Captain Trek in real life, I would be the Uhura of this moment, and he would be the Spock, where he's just sitting there glaring at me and smiling, half smirking. Like, I would sing my heart out for you, Captain Trek. Do you agree with this? Oh, he's on mute.
I would.
Well, actually, if you tune into karaoke nights, it'd be Captain Trek to be singing.
There you go. All right. I will strum. I will strum my harp for you, Captain Trek.
There you go. Now he's gonna kill me.
There's the creepy moment. Yes. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah. You're gonna have a whole new fascination with this episode, aren't you? So what did you think of the whole singing Uhura moment in the episode?
It proved that Nichelle Nichols could sing.
Oh yeah, she can sing.
It also proved that the lyricist for these songs sucked at writing song lyrics.
They were a little corny, a little bit.
And I suspect, without knowledge, I've not Googled it, I've not done anything. I would suspect that Gene Roddenberry had some influence on these lyrics, because they sucked about as much as the lyrics for the opening theme, which I finally heard.
I haven't, thankfully. I haven't. I don't want anything to ruin that theme song for me. I've purposely made sure I didn't hear it yet.
Don't ever. Yeah.
Hear it. All right. Well, we seem to agree on certain things with that in that regard, so I think I'll take your word for it. So as the episode progresses and he's continuing to crush on Uhura and the power struggle between him and Kirk determines that, he's in control of the ship now, and he must be taxing his powers. Okay, convenient. So let's turn on everything we can, and that should give us enough of a window to attack him. Okay. So then this plan works for the most part, except it backfires, and the only reason that they're saved is the alien race comes and intervenes. What did you think of what did everybody kind of think of that Kirk's reasoning for just kind of seemed like he pulled it out of thin air. There wasn't anything that really tipped off that he couldn't control the entire ship and still have full power. It was just kind of, my script tells me that if everything's on, we can, there wasn't a sign like he didn't, like he wasn't controlling something and then somebody pissed him off and he couldn't make them disappear, right? He didn't have that moment.
Well, the fact that
It was just assumed.
that McCoy and Spock were going over to the sciences area and the communications area and flipping on switches, and of course the engines come online. They start going. It's like, you're over in the sciences area and you have control of the engines. That's interesting.
Here's what I would do. I would have had it been like, hey, we're scanning the ship, and I'm noticing as Charlie's walking through, everybody in his section's freezing, but as he's moving, everybody else who's not in his section is able to move. Then Kirk could be like, he can't control the whole ship at one time. That's interesting. Maybe if we do this, he could, maybe if we just start flipping everything on, it'll tax. Like there would have been a very logical reason, because, and I get, the way I came to that conclusion is Charlie leaves the bridge and then he was walking through the corridor like he's rushing to get to the bathroom like he's got diarrhea. Because I want to know, where the hell was he going? Because he was rushing through those hallways, like pushing people over or getting mad at people. Like, where are you going? What are you doing? Like, what why are you rushing off? Because that was a really awkward walk for him. So something so simple like that, because it really did seem to come out of nowhere. So I understand, like, I have no problem with the logic of the episode, but I have a problem with the episode's logic, if that makes sense. They just could have, a couple of sentences would have gone a long way. And the people who wrote the script are asking us to be very forgiving on certain things, and asking us to fill in some of the blanks, and that's not a good thing.
Like for me, I can understand the logic behind it. The execution sucked.
Exactly.
Cap?
I definitely agree. The execution definitely sucked.
So then the race appears. Their ship is basically cloaked, well, invisible, and then they decide to let them see the ship, which really looked odd.
Well, it looked interdimensional.
It just, the ship itself, it had no, like, when it appeared, I expected, because when they appear humanish. So you would think that when the ship appeared, it would have an appearance that would resemble something, like resemble a ship of some sort.
Well, given the fact that it's early TOS, I can kind of let that go. Or the fact that it's, a ship, this is something completely alien. It's kind of transdimensional. It's like, okay, I can forgive that. Like it's fine. At least for me, I can kind of overlook that. For me, that whole scene with the aliens, I actually feel bad for Charlie in that scene, because he pleads with the crew, and your heart goes out to him. And I really dug Captain Kirk in that moment where he's like, hey, maybe we can give him another chance, train him not to use his powers. And the aliens are like, nah, he's going to kill you, or you're going to kill him. And we can't do, to me, I really, like, that was kind of heartbreaking in that moment, because it's like, that's really sad. He has to go back. I kind of want to know, like, why couldn't you just take the powers away? Like, I'm very curious about.
I would have, I actually would have liked Kirk to have said that when they said we gave him the powers so that he can survive. He will use them always. Well, if you gave them, could you not take them away?
yeah, like what happened? Like, I feel like if there was a little bit more backstory, I feel like they spent too much time flirting with Janice Rand
Yeah.
than giving this backstory. If we just had a little bit more, hell, even 5 minutes, exploring some of these things, 5 minutes goes a long way on just exploring character development, talking. If they had taken out, certain 5 minutes here and there, we could have just gotten so much more understanding of motivations of a race or a character, or even divided up, among other things for Charlie. It could have made the character a lot more sympathetic, even though he was the antagonist of the story. Because I really, when he's crying out, saying I don't want to go back, or whatever the line was he said, like, my heart really does go out for that character, even though I know this is not a guy you want to be around. And that is really powerful to me. What do you think, Captain Trek? You're on mute, brother.
Oh, well, no, I don't know. I just, like I said, I didn't initially like the character. It just struck me as creepy. And yeah, it was kind of sad to see the aliens come back and how he was scared to go, but it's like, no, you gotta go.
You've left us no choice, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so the aliens take him back pretty much by force. They just beam him over, and then they leave. After they've fixed everything he's done except for the ship that he blew up. Which even that was like a footnote. Like, I think they could have done more with that storyline. And we kind of glossed over it, but I think they could have done a little bit more with that and taken out a little bit of the flirty stuff. And that's when you really find out that there's a problem, because, even the confrontation where Kirk has him brought up, one, he doesn't actually call for him on screen. He just appears. So your initial thought is, well, he's talked this guy into it, or he's forcing the security to bring him to Kirk. And then he goes, well, you had something to ask me. And we never saw Kirk tell or call down to the security having this, having him brought. He just had asked for Bones and Spock. So I really would have liked them to explore that aspect more and taken out more of the flirty flirt, but I don't know. So I guess we'll go around the table here and give our final thoughts and grade, and we'll start with Vance.
Well, like I said in the beginning, I really enjoyed this episode. It's it's not an episode without its flaws. But I do feel like it is one that is one of missed opportunity, because I mean, hell, we've been sitting here talking for a half hour, which I feel is probably maybe 15 minutes too long, because a lot of it is like, that's a lot of flirting, and we've come up with a better episode just talking of the what ifs, and they really could have done a lot better on the character development and made us care just a little bit more. But I really enjoyed what they gave us, despite the flaws of the episode. However, if I'm looking at it critically, it wasn't a very good episode. Now I know they gave us the singing with Uhura, but as Star Trek V shows where she's dancing, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do that. So I those things are very off-putting to me, and I don't enjoy them. I'm glad they don't keep shoving that in our faces. But what they did give us, I enjoyed, which was the Charlie and Kirk stuff. And I really enjoy that. So I have to say it's probably a 5 for me. There's a lot of good there, but there's a lot of bad. I think there's a lot of good ideas, but the execution's pretty bad in what they could have done. I think if this was a season 2 episode, it would have been a lot stronger, but I think they were still trying to find their footing. So I'd have to say it's 50-50. But that singing part really brought it down for me, and the flirting with Janice Rand, those things, I don't think it would have been there if this was a season 2 episode. So
Okay, and Cap?
I would give it a 4. If it had been a season 2 episode and they'd kept this, I would have given it a 3.
Yeah, I could be
But
there with you.
considering it was new, I'll give some leniency and give it a 4.
Yeah, well, I'm at about a 5, which is my meh, right? A 5 is meh, and that's basically what this episode was to me. It was just kind of, it was meh. It didn't have a lot of things that really annoyed me. It had some things that made me question a few things, but nothing too drastic. So I'd give it a 5, just at a meh. Okay, next kind of theory. So with that said, I'm going to thank my round table. Captain Trek, thank you for coming. You always add a little bit of harsher criticisms than I do. So it's always nice to be able to have that, that aspect. And then Vance tends to look at certain things a little bit more brighter. So I want to thank you both, because you both add so much to these, and I greatly appreciate you both coming on.
no, absolutely.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll wrap this one up at 36 minutes, which is, I think, our longest review. So yay. And till next time, take her easy, folks.